And guys, we're live. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning.
Good morning, Kenji.
Morning, Kenji. Morning, Kevin.
Yeah, man. It's
Morning, Tony.
such an amazing day. Beautiful day. And me, I'm excited. You know, Tony,
Yeah.
we had this conversation last week. And today I'm just like, we're going to nail this conversation because in the house we have Kevin Kanyotu, who is the chief production, can I say lead?
Yes.
For Tannery agency. And he's a unique man. He doesn't go by generic titles, and he'll tell us why. So I'm excited to have him on our channel today, on our podcast. And also we have Tony. Tony is actually one of the directors at Aurum, but he's also a risk consultant, and he'll tell us more about what that involves. But guys, welcome this morning to our podcast, and we're going to be discussing business recovery plans. And just to give you a recap of what we discussed last week, we talked about how COVID has really shaken up businesses. Many guys have been thrown off. Entrepreneurs are living a day at a time. No one really understands what's happening, and we don't know what to anticipate. But we have recognized that we formed coping mechanisms, and we also have formulated strategies to stay afloat. So today we're going to be tackling some of those strategies, and we're also going to discuss more about, as an entrepreneur, how do you stay afloat, and how do you even thrive during this season. So guys, buckle up. If you guys need to go get some water, some tea, it's early in the morning. If you need to go and kick the kids outside to go play so you can listen to this podcast, please do that. We are going to delve deeper. And as we start, let me just start with the host, with the most, Mr. Tony. Anthony, tell us more about yourself and what you do.
All right. Thanks, Kenji. As you've heard, I'm Anthony Kuria. I work at Aurum Consultants Limited, which is a HR and risk advisory consulting firm. We give HR services, consultancy services to SMEs, to NGOs, to micro SMEs, and even to corporates where we do. But mostly we are focused on the SME space, where we enable entrepreneurs to solve one of the biggest challenges that any entrepreneur would go through, and that is maximizing the potential of their HR function. And we do so via various means. For example, we do HR audits. We enable recruitment and placement. We do things like outsourced HR management. We also help clients do things like salary processing, and basically maximize their HR function in terms of dealing with statutory requirements that the government may have that require employers to meet minimum labor regulations, and at the same time maximize the function of their HR department. At the same time, we also offer risk advisory services, and this may involve, on the HR aspect, making sure that you're meeting the statutory requirements by the government, avoiding potential pitfalls that may come along as you pursue your business as a businessman, and at the same time also other business risks that come along when you're doing business. It could be issues to do with strategy, issues to do with finances. How do you avoid certain pitfalls that may come in the entrepreneurial journey? We offer services in that whole spectrum.
That you guys offer a lot, and I think for me, I think as a business, you're an essential service. So most guys are usually thinking, okay, which part of the department can I cut costs? And people look at first, it starts with HR, and they forget that people are the most important function of a business. Thanks, Tony. You'll tell us more about that and how also your business has
Nice.
been keeping along with this COVID season. So, Kevin, you're a seasoned entrepreneur, man. And actually, I really love those posts you put up on Facebook with the family, man. Jamming. I mean, I keep telling wifey, hey, we need to be a musical family, man. These guys are having fun. You know what I
That's
mean? COVID can't stop us.
Yeah.
But it's also just very, very heartwarming to see just how families come together in this season just to enjoy each other's company and just have fun, which is key. But tell us, Kevin, tell us a little about yourself, what you do, what you're passionate about.
Okay. Thank you, Kenji. That's one of the family values that we have. We really like celebrating the worship, first of all, is a key thing to us as a family, but also having fun along with it. So it's one of the ways that we get to the downtime of the day, and we are saying, okay, the day has been jam-packed with business, so we are able to create downtime for ourselves. I'm a marketing professional in the area of advertising and brand communications. So we run a company called Tannery. Tannery, by the way, is a Kiswahili name meaning a furnace. A furnace. It's a place where we feel like we work on brands, we change them and mold them and improve them to have a better face, to have a better receptive appearance to their customers. So hence the name, the choice of the name Tannery. I call myself the production smith because we are involved with channeling out creative ideas, helping companies to position their products first in the minds of their customers and then in the marketplace so that they can be able to enjoy a profitable journey and also just to understand who they're targeting and how to communicate with them. So that's what we do at Tannery. We've been in operation for 11 years. Our three main areas of expertise is in brand development and creative. The creative world, that's in form of how to communicate in form of different media, that's on TV, visuals, graphic design, audio, and digital media as well. Digital media has now become a very critical thing of what every business or how every business should be able to communicate to their customers. So we also are in the area of offering digital services, helping companies relate socially to their customers. So that's what we do at Tannery.
Hey, wow. Kevin, you have a heavy bio. There's a lot you do, but this is exciting, to see even seasoned people coming into the conversation. And I think we'll be gleaning onto some of your wisdom or some of the things that you've learned. And right now, Zippy has just told, she's like looking forward to today's discussion. So everyone who's out there, we are open to your comments, your feedback. Please just tell us because the topic today will be about, we're discussing business recovery plans. And we want to know what you guys are doing as a business. How are you guys staying afloat? So please send your comments and questions. Now, Kevin, I'm also in the digital space, and there's a lot of changes that have happened. And we've also realized that the acceleration, the digital acceleration, has brought businesses to a point where they are spending more on digital regardless of the budget constraints, but they're also cutting down on other areas. So that has just been my view. What have you learned about yourself? Let me even start with yourself during this COVID period. Before even we go to the business, because sometimes our business is it's the extension of ourselves. So as entrepreneurs, what have you really learned during this season?
Yeah, thank you, Kenji. Definitely, this season has been a very interesting one for every individual. One of the things that I kept on asking myself is, why am I here on earth? When you're locked inside your home and when you're not really moving out a lot within the Nairobi city or its environs, when you're stuck in a room and you start thinking, who am I? Why am I here? Is my business even relevant? Is my existence even being felt? And those are the difficult questions that I've been asking myself towards, especially at the beginning of the season, when the country was put on somewhat of a lockdown. And one of the things I've discovered is I've been able to spend a lot of time reading, just sharpening my mind, reading books. I find a lot of joy in learning something new that I've never known. Even from those who are ahead of me or from those people who are masters in other crafts. So I've discovered that I'm a good reader. And it's something that I never used to do quite a lot before pre-COVID. But now I try and at least read a book within a period of 1 week or 2 weeks and try to apply what I've been learning. But more so, because the children are here with us, the aspect of learning to be a good parent. I wish even when pre-COVID, I was spending more time with the children, because you get to learn a lot about how you were when you are their age. What are some of the things they're experiencing right now, and how you can be able to tackle parenting difficulties. So I've also realized and learned my spouse, my partner, my wife better this season. That's what I've been learning. We just discovered we have very different tastes. We are very different people. In the season of stress, we exhibit very different personas, which for me is very critical in making sure that we're able to know each other better and relate with one another better. So that's what I've learned.
Sorry. I like what you just talked about in terms of different personalities showing up with different, let me say, stress environments. And that I've also seen that our personalities are very different. What my wife and I have very different personalities, and we've coped with these things this season very differently. What's interesting is I'm not much of a reader per se, but I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I have found myself leaning into not podcasts that really give you hope, but podcasts that help you reflect on yourself. So I've really felt the need of just learning myself a bit deeper in this season, because I've realized that I am not Superman. So there's Superman and Clark Kent. The Clark Kent is showing up very strongly, and in terms of, especially when it comes to provision for man, it sometimes keeps me a bit worried. How am I going to provide for our team this season or this next month, or our family? And for me, that has just been one of my coping mechanisms, listening to podcasts and also reading the word. For me, it's a way of giving me assurance. God's word is very strong, and it's in terms of reassuring you who you are, in who you are. So let me tip over to Tony. Tony, there are many things that I know you've learned about yourself during this season. You've had Kevin, as Gonza, I saw his book. He started reading, is it David and Goliath, if I'm not wrong?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see he's a reader. So it's good to see people nurturing different strengths from the past. Tony, how have you been coping with this COVID? What have you learned about yourself?
Okay, thanks, Kenji. My wife and I, because our business is a bit younger compared to Tannery, for example, we've been in existence now for about four years or so. So by the time this pandemic was hitting Kenya and we couldn't be able to do business as usual, we were now starting to scale up to a place where you would say we were breaking even. And because of the way we do business, we interact a lot. My wife and I do interact a lot. Every morning, sometimes we work in the same space. Sometimes she or I are out there with clients, but in the evening we are still coming home together. We were still handling a lot of issues, operational, financial, strategic, everything we were handling together. So being cooped in the house when everything stopped wasn't so much of a shocker or a big surprise. We basically now had to work in the same space all the time. The biggest challenge came now with the children also being at home and wondering why is Daddy and Mommy not going anywhere. So I think both of us learned more about our children than what we learned about ourselves, because I know my wife's strengths very well. She knows me also very well. We've gone through, before we set up Aurum Consultants, we had gone through a very difficult season as a couple, financially and all, trying to set up a business. So COVID really, while it has shaken us, it has not found us naked, if I would put it that way. We've withered worse. So not being able, shrunken financial inputs, business being squeezed. It's like we've been here and we have learned how to cope, and therefore we are more prepared emotionally, psychologically, even financially, as it were, with God's grace. So the thing that I've done, like Kevin, I'm a bit of a reader. And even before this whole pandemic began, I used to take time to read books when I'm free. For example, when I'm either waiting for a client or say I have an afternoon, I've given myself off from marketing, I would sit and read online. So, for example, the book that I was reading before COVID happened was Why Nations Fail. It's a book I would want everybody who wants to understand why is it that you find certain nations thriving and others struggling. That's a book that you would want to read. Currently, the book that I'm reading, and I'm reading it together with a group of men, we normally meet every Friday evening virtually, is called Finishing Strong. It's a book that I would recommend to any man to read because it's really directed towards men. And it's a book that, how do I put it? It will find you. Let me just say, even the writer himself says the book will find you. And I would recommend that book to anyone. Like Kevin, KG, I would recommend you to read that book. I think it's chapter 6 or chapter 7 where the writer says, I know I have been very hard on you, so let me be a bit softer here. Yeah, he describes things that I never thought in the Bible because it's biblically based. He says, for example, David finished weak. He's a very strong man, and that David is a mighty man of God. But really, in the context of time, David finished weak. What he did with Bathsheba and how he finished afterwards shows he didn't finish the way he ought to have. Same with, yet there are other men. Christ himself is the ultimate. He managed to come with a purpose and finished it well. Yeah, so that's the book I'm doing. We are reading a chapter a week and then discussing with the other group of men, about 5 or 6 gentlemen. So it's a book I would recommend to any man to read. You will find yourself there, and it's like looking in the mirror, thinking that you're very handsome, and you find serious imperfections on yourself.
You should hand it down. The guys of us, we might struggle to read, but at least I know if there's some wisdom there, I can look for a minute or two. But it's a beautiful thing to learn new things about ourselves. Even in totality, I think I've also studied people, and I've seen humans are very resistant to change naturally. And a lot of people, were talking about, we need to go digital, but it's not the technology that was the hindrance. It was them who are the hindrance to their progress. So right, COVID, like, shoved them into this thing, and they had to really adapt. So I've seen human beings have capacity to do a lot, but we really hinder ourselves from progress. And for me, what I'm learning is, change is the constant variable. So you just have to keep moving and evolving, So that's something I've really learned during this season. But let's skip over to businesses, because I feel like now that we know about ourselves, our businesses are really an extension of ourselves. I have seen myself lacking in terms of leadership, because there are times I really don't know how to run a remote team. I don't know how to keep a remote team motivated. I found it so tough that sometimes I just go online to look at what other people are doing to strengthen their teams. I don't know if you guys have had challenges with team cohesion, building the spirit with remote teams, or how have you guys been handling that? Maybe Kevin, you could take that.
That's a very good question, Kenji, and definitely it's one of those things that you as an entrepreneur always have to ask yourself. How am I able to build trust within the team? I think the ingredient here is trust. And even as we talk about trust, is for instance, when we got the first case of COVID in the country, that was towards late of March. The Ministry of Health announced this on a Sunday. The next day, which was a Monday, we had an office meeting. And one of the things that we immediately did, we made a decision not to come to the office and work from home. But also what I did was that I made it clear to my team that we are going to make whatever tools and resources necessary for you to be able to work at home. But on the flip side, you also need to provide time and also discipline, so that you also be able to work with one another. And then we need to harness or reposition ourselves in such a way that we have our office meetings online. So every week, and now it has moved from every week to almost every day, we have a meeting, and not maybe with everyone, but for those particular departments or those people who need to discuss, then we make sure that we speak with one another. So for me, Kenji, the basic ingredient there is building trust. And how you build trust is understanding the feelings that your team or your employees have during the COVID season. What is it that they're going through? And the ability to be able to understand feelings is called empathy. In my field in marketing, we use empathy intelligence a lot. It's more or less like emotional intelligence. So you need to understand what is it that this guy is going through, so that they are not able to probably work effectively, or probably they're not available at a certain time. So you'd have a meeting, online meeting, and you find some of your team members struggling with their parenting, or the same person is actually homeschooling, or the same person has a blackout in their area. So you must be able to empathize with them, so that when you say meeting at 9, have an open mind when people delay. When you say have your screens open, we need to see your face, bear in mind there could be a lady who's breastfeeding. So we need to be able to empathize and understand and trust each other as a team.
Wow. Yep. I think I'm a culprit of that. You need to see your face. Because sometimes I can't relate with those screensavers stroke APIs. I'm just like, guys, we need to see your face. But I'll empathize. Thank you, Kevin. I will be more sensitive to the person on the other end. Yeah. And I've also realized business processes have changed. And I think, Tony, I think this you can attest, because let me even take it to a higher level. Government has opened up to a lot of processes, So, one, I remember, do you remember e-signatures were not accepted in government offices? You would not submit an e-signature and they would process your document. Now I'm seeing government embracing e-signatures. I'm like, which government is this? The other day, I was looking at even just the litigation process, how court rulings are being done over Zoom, and I'm like, is this Kenya? And I'm like, it's not just business. Government is also adapting. They have been forced, and not in bad taste, but government are one of the last people to make a change. So I am just impressed by the amount of evolution and change that's happening with business processes. What can you speak about that, Tony, in terms of what processes have you seen changing, even in your particular field?
All right. Now, for us who provide advisory services, especially on HR, the mere fact that staff had to now, the way Kevin described, staff had to disperse, go home. Ourselves, we have a team of consultants who are placed in a number of our clients' offices. So depending on the client, some dispersed their staff immediately, others retained them, but obviously in very strict conditions. So one of the things we've discovered with our clients is that the issue of virtual meetings, things like Zoom. I didn't know Zoom existed. I admit I didn't know Zoom existed until COVID happened. That's when we had the Zoom is available for purposes of virtual meetings. There used to be this other one called is this other chat that people normally use, especially on computers. I'm forgetting
Skype.
the name. Skype, yes, Skype. We used to use Skype a lot. My partner and I, in dealing with clients from afar. But now Skype, I don't know what has happened to Skype. Zoom has taken over and a few others. So clients, the idea of embracing virtual meetings through technology, meeting like the way we are, has become all the rage. And many of our clients have opted to go in that direction to keep in touch with clients. Sometimes very strategic, very vital job functions had to be done remotely. So as Kevin alluded, trust has to be built up between the management of a company with its employees, hoping to see that the end results will be produced despite not being in one physical place. Another item that has popped up is the issue of even with government. I've seen now with government a lot is the issue of making payments, discounting cash and making payments either virtually, using M-Pesa, using money transfers, bank transfers, and all that. And you've seen that has been accelerated to a place where hard cash has become like one of the keys to spread COVID-19. And the encouragement, even with, I saw there was a time they were trying to get matatus to accept the paying using cards, using M-Pesa and all that. Now that is something probably that will accelerate. If ever there is something that we call post-COVID, that digital payment space, have a look at it. It will grow and it will grow far more because like now, if you go to certain banks, going to queue to withdraw money, the amounts that you're charged, it will better you go to either the ATM or get internet banking. Similarly, out there when you're doing your shopping, you'll find it's easier to pay with either your card or with credit card or M-Pesa. It has become the new norm, and that process is going to accelerate. As you said, even with the government, before COVID happened, M-Pesa was embraced, but now is when we will see that process even increasing even more, where now certain processes that you couldn't get from the government using newer technologies, now they will be embraced.
And we are seeing that acceleration in terms of financial services taking over. a lot of micro lending apps have come up, because one, we are seeing even the loan structure and the loan landscape or credit landscape is changing. I remember there's a time, even right now, a bank would only fund you against your balance sheet and not your cash flows, you know. But I'm seeing right now banks are becoming a bit, you know, flexible, and they're coming up with products and new credit assets to help you finance your business with your cash flows. They just look at your monthly income, which for me is more, it's more practical because of where we are as a country and business. And I've also seen there's been a shift in our industry, in the digital sector, and this is where I think, Kevin, maybe I'd like to hear your 2 cents on it. So with digital marketing agencies, we've always been third parties to the process. You know, we are those guys who come and let me say audit your communication strategy, your digital footprint, and then now we advise you on a strategy going forward, and we even give you the execution tools. We can train or even take over the process, all in all. Now, I've seen businesses like there's a reduction in the outsourcing of digital marketing agencies, and now they're hiring within the department. They don't want like a breakdown in communication, because they're like, that thing of sending a brief to an agency is taking too long. Yet I can hire a younger person who understands my brand, the tone, the voice, the personality, and I just work on improving his skills. I invest in his training to take over communication in the business. So outsourcing to digital agencies has slumped a bit, but that's in my own view. I don't know if you witnessed that, Kevin, in your industry or from your perspective.
Thank you, Kenji. That's a very interesting question and observation. I definitely have observed that in many, even our own clients. One of the things that I would like to reiterate, especially when it comes to managing communication during crisis, is that you find that there's a default belief in many companies to want to repurpose and change the direction in a short-term period. That is where there are many questions for people asking themselves: are we in the new norm? Are we in the new way of operating because COVID has come? So in the pursuit to repurpose, you find that people are saying, let's reduce our costs of the number of consultants or agencies or companies that are working with us. So one of the ways to reduce cost is bring that skill set that we outsource and bring it inside within the company. You find that is a good thing to begin with, but you realize, like you and I, Kenji, that digital media is a set of very many functions, because it means that you need to hire a team. One of the biggest book distribution companies in this country is a family business that has been there for over 50 years. We all know. Should I mention the name, or is it okay to mention? But
is it safe?
The Textbook Center have been able to repurpose and have been able to re-engineer the function of digital marketing, as opposed to outsource it. They build it from inside. And when I asked why, it's because when you are able to train employees about the values of the business, the intricacies of that business from within, you have a team that is able to channel out things from the heart of the business, work from the heart of the business. They're able to converse better internally with the other teams and then channel out work. However, the disadvantage with that is that you find that the business doesn't stay in its line of calling, or the business end. So that's why you find a very difficult decision that are made, especially in certain business processes. You start asking yourselves, for example, if you're going to be if you have a distribution company, you're distributing milk, do you lease the trucks or do you buy trucks and distribute yourselves? So you find many companies decided, let's give that distribution to someone else. Let's focus on producing milk. So many companies at this point should be able to make that decision. Am I going to outsource digital? Or for example, am I going to ask Tony, can I employ Tony in my business to be able to measure risk for us? So you find that you'll reduce Tony's job by having a risk manager. Yeah, you go to big companies, in Safaricom, you have people like risk managers. Or you in Safaricom, you also have people like big data managers. You and I can know what big data is. And Safaricom is one of the biggest companies in Sub-Saharan Africa. They also have loads of information that they collect because you have over 20 million subscribers. So they actually are a resource for data, using data to process information. So you can decide to outsource that or decide to retain based on the scale of your business. So I would not say that it's a decision that you must be able to retain these skills. You make those decisions as you move along the life cycle of your business.
Wow, wise words. I mean, it's brought us to a point where this shared economy has never been more real than it is right now. Because as you've just talked about, Kevin, taking on that particular function as a business will also incur you a lot of overheads if you want to do it professionally. And still businesses need to understand there's a place for everyone. Sometimes it's cheap. I mean, it's expensive to take shortcuts. Yeah, you'd rather hire a professional who will take you through the process better in a more efficient manner than trying to look for ways to navigate. So I hope for those marketing managers who are out there trying to cut costs, please give us business. We need you as much as you need us. So anyway, Tony,
Yes.
maybe let's move into employees as well, because employees need to also understand that permanent and pensionable contracts are really becoming a thing of the past. A lot of people now are going into contractual agreements, and because I'm seeing there's an imminent fear of people losing jobs, and everyone is thinking, even CEOs in big companies are still shaken. They're like, will I be able to hold my position? And right now, even as employers, we're thinking differently. We're thinking, what kind of agreements or arrangements can we can we put in place to help people feel secure in their jobs and also to produce more, and we're using their time well. So it's a thing about giving them security and the usage of time. What do you see in terms of employees moving into contractual based agreements as compared to permanent and pensionable agreements or contracts?
Now, moving away from permanent and pensionable to something that is more contractual is not necessarily a bad thing, because when you have been given a contract, say for a year or for 2 years, renewable, 1 year renewable, and key to that is that if it is based on key performance indicators. So if Kenji today, I've hired somebody to come and do my accounting work, I've given him a 1 year contract or whatever agreement that we've agreed upon. For that employee, if the parameters are, one of the things that he will need to do is make sure that key performance indicators have been written on that contract, so that by the time we are coming to the end of the contract, he will be able to see, have I met my end of the contract? Yes or no? If it is yes, then how does that strengthen my position in wanting my contract to be renewed? That's one way to look at it. On the other hand, the laws of the land dictate that you either hire somebody as an intern, or if it's not intern, on probation for 6 months or whatever period of time. And then once that is over, then you've got to hire him permanently. I mean, you've got to, you've hired him permanently and he's on that kind of a contract. However, for an employer, putting key performance indicators as the requirements to maintain that contract is very important, so that you will feel that the employee that I've hired, as much as they're permanent, they have a role to play in keeping this job with me. For the employee, on the other hand, having the requirement of having performance-based, employment is also important, because it also boosts their CV. Because today, if I'm hiring somebody to do sales and marketing, and I've told him, yes, now you're permanent and you're now, I've hired you permanently, but I have certain indicators that you need to meet if you're going to have this relationship. If the employee is able to meet those indicators and surpass them, not only will he ever have a very strong position to negotiate for himself better terms, but even if he decides to move on, that is a very strong item to have on your CV. So I would say for employees, the changing environment can work for their benefit if they change their mindset. That is, if you get a job,
I like that. So it's about a mindset shift, right?
Yes. Yeah. For both employers and employees, yes, things may be difficult, but they're also bringing opportunities. For employees, the opportunities is show yourself to be good at what you're doing. Insist on performance indicators. See whether you can achieve them. If you meet and surpass them, then you give yourself a very strong bargaining position with your employer. If the situation dictates that you have to move on, then you give yourself a very strong bargaining, a very strong CV. You can put something very strong in your CV that this was what I was doing at Tannery. These were my performance indicators. These were my results. I managed to increase sales by 50%, by 70%. I reduced costs by this much. I increased profit margin by ABCD. And therefore, when you're applying for another job, Kevin might want to hold on to you, or if he has to release you, he'll recommend you glowingly to everybody else that you go. So the uncertainty brought by this situation is also an opportunity for employees and employers.
Wow. And in fact, I also think it's a blessing in disguise, in the sense that an employee can also spread his talents across different employers, and you'd find that people are not stuck in dead-end jobs, because also employment can really put you in behind a role and a position for a long time, that it actually clouds your understanding of business, even from a world view. You can be in a job for so long that you don't actually see what's happening out there. So I think it's a blessing in disguise. So we have a comment on Facebook from Margaret Njeri, that's my mom. Karibu. She's saying, from a HR perspective, what advice do you have for the full-time job seekers? What can you do as they wait for those jobs? And I know you've touched a little on the first bit, but what can they also do as they wait for those jobs? Or should they wait?
Okay, that's a very good question by Mama Margaret. One of the things that my partner Zipporah always says is that if you're looking for a job and you can't get a job, why not offer yourself for internship? An internship is not for fresh university graduates.
Yes.
Let's say today, right now I'm a risk advisor, and I wanted to learn more about it. I'm in risk, and I couldn't get a job. Say I was looking for a job and I could get a job. Why not offer myself, since I have the skills? Why not go to a company where they probably need my skills, but probably don't have a budget to pay my salary? You can offer yourself for 3 months internship. Go. Yes, you might need to get from your reserves or from somewhere else money that to meet your expenses for traveling. But going to work there, if they do have such a department, going to work there will not only improve your skill set, you will learn more, you will interact more, you will understand how business works, and at the same time, you'll put on your CV that you have this kind of skills. Say you're an accountant, you've done your CPAs, you've graduated, you have your degree, but you're still struggling to get a job. Why not look for an internship, even an unpaid internship? All they need to do is give you a desk and put somebody to work with, an experienced accountant there, whom you can work with and learn from, even if it's just for 3 months. Who knows? I have witnesses of friends. I have a friend in particular, and probably Kenji, I'll ask you to invite him here next time. This guy started as an unpaid messenger in an insurance company. And he worked there. They loved him. They hired him as a messenger. He continued diligently working there, and he was hired, the ones for after 6 months, we'll see probation. Then in a short while, they put him in a department to help them take policy documents across the Nairobi CBD. Within a short while, after the 6 months, they decided, you know what, I think you're useful enough. There's no point of hiring people from out there. We will hire you. So he got a job in that department as a clerk. By the time he was leaving the particular company that hired him, he was senior manager, having risen from a messenger to a senior manager. I can give you examples. I have another friend of mine who came to a bank I was working for, also as a messenger. In fact, he was a T-boy. He had his degree, but he could not get a job. So he went and pleaded with the branch manager, I can be serving you people tea. And he was still, okay, come, serve us tea, we'll not pay you anything. The only benefit you'll get is you'll drink the tea, what it makes in the kibuyu after you finish. So he started serving that way. Within a short while, the branch manager recommended to head office, let's hire this guy. We don't need to hire this illiterate mamas out here. Let's hire this boy. So they hired him. Right now, Kenji, that young man is the chief global markets manager of a big bank here in Kenya. And we're talking about less than years ago. Okay?
Wow.
Offering yourself.
Wow.
And this was a graduate who was serving tea in a bank. He was willing to humble himself to go and serve tea in a bank. Right now, he's a senior forex dealer in a big bank in Kenya. Okay? He just learned on the job. So to answer Mama Mbaye, the issue is offer yourself for internship. Go, even if you're a graduate, if you are doing construction, go to a mjengo, go help carrying those stones. If the foreman there needs help, since you have the skills, offer them without being paid. Help him with the drawings, with the plans, whatever. If you are in accounting, same. If you are in HR, same. If you are a digital marketer, if there's somebody listening here, offer yourself to Kenji or to Kevin as an unpaid intern. Help Kevin do his stuff. Who knows? Kevin might hire you or might refer you to somebody else, and there you climb. The thing, and that is one of the things that we are doing at Aurum Consultants. We are helping young people understand that leaving university or college to join the job market you're not going into paradise. You're going to the real world, which requires you to be humble, offer your skills, be willing to learn. Even if you're not being paid, humble yourself, be willing to learn. Start learning even if you're not getting paid. That could be the key that unlocks your dream job or your dream, whatever it is that you desire to do.
You have dropped gems. I mean, any young person who's trying to get into the industry, that is the real blueprint. I mean, just copy paste and you'll be good.
Exactly.
But let me ask Kevin, because Kevin, he's a seasoned entrepreneur and he's running a marketing agency. In terms of marketing, what can businesses do right now just to stay afloat? And let me not even put it in a way of, okay, we are just barely making it, but there has been certain trends that have come up even in marketing, fraternity, and even in terms of communicating with clients. What can businesses do, and what hacks can they have, as small businesses especially, to make sure they get first visibility, they're able to get also conversion or lead generation? What would you say about that?
Yeah, thank you, Kenji. One of the things that we have done as a business, we did this maybe 2 years ago, was to repurpose our offering. I know I've used that word before. So we have a tendency of wanting to stick to our skills or area of calling as an entrepreneur, but you'll find that there are sometimes you need to actually repurpose or find a new fitting for yourself. And what businesses now can do, especially SMEs, is if, for instance, you were set up to do, for example, insurance. What are some of the things as an entrepreneur that you can be able to do during this season? We know we need to understand the habits of consumption of consumers. People are at home. People are using social media platforms more. People are actually logging into Zoom calls, Google Meet, and all these softwares to connect with one another as workmates or as family. So one of the ways you can actually do is that you can start training, start offering training, start offering your wisdom or expertise to those people who need. So you're looking at someone who's offering insurance. Start talking to potential customers about risk, about how you can be able to have certain things, let's say like insurance of equipment. You can see the room that I am in. This was a store, but I've converted it to an office in my house. But I'm using my computer here. I'm using my printer here. It may have been insured in the office. So, do I have all risk of my laptop that I'm using here wherever I am going? So it and that comes from a position of being able to empathize with your customers. We have a certain tool we use in marketing called empathy map. The empathy map is to be able to understand what is my customer going through right now. What are the problems they are facing? Number one, they are not working in their office, or probably they are traveling less. So therein lies some gaps and new opportunities for you as an entrepreneur to see, okay, let me repurpose my offering based on what new lifestyle changes that my customers, my potential customers, are applying in that season. The second thing that you need to do is rebrand. And rebrand, I will mention here very critically, it's not a logo. Logo does not mean rebranding. And a brand and a logo are very different things. A brand is basically a perception that people have about your business. When you look at a big company like iPhone, the company that makes iPhone, Apple, it's such a huge, powerful brand. But before even they release a phone, you have fans or followers who are there, like they are marketing associates. They don't work in Apple, but they will line up a night before the Apple store, before a release of a new version of an Apple phone, because they feel like they own that company. So what you're saying is that you need to rebrand in a certain way that you create ownership within your followers, within your fans, within your potential customers. Not the logo. You rebrand your processes, rebrand your offering, rebrand the way you communicate. So if you've been communicating through a website or a Facebook page, how about training people on a webinar on Zoom? How about actually, before, if you are taking leaflets to the mall, now there are not too many people in the malls. So you need to re-engineer how you communicate to people. And the last one is just revamp your communication. Be very consistent with how you offer and how you communicate about the services you offer. You'll find that people are tempted to change for the season. Now that COVID has come, let me change for the season. But there's a difference between adapting or improving your offering, scaling it for the season, and coming up with an entirely new business whatsoever. So, for instance, we've seen very many people, we've seen it in the press, people who are maybe bankers, and then they'll go to Kikuyu and park their car and sell groceries. That is okay because they're looking for survival. In this, these are people are just provide their families with food, pay their rent, and just get on with life. But for a business that is starting up and growing, you're okay doing that, side hustle, you may call it, but also remember you have a long-term vision with the small business that you've created. Continue working on a daily basis on that business, even though in the evening you'll go to Kikuyu Highway and sell your products. So it's always good to have a balance and know that there are things I must do today, which are operational and tactical, and then there are things that I need to think about, which are strategic over time.
Wow. Hey, so I'm also going to adopt that. I haven't really thought of revamping, not my logo, but in terms of processes, I have done for a few things, but others, I'm still rigid. But thank you, Kevin, for that. I also believe in just evolving as an entrepreneur, as a business, and just not being afraid of change, but just embracing it, because it's not easy, but it will help you grow. But let me, and as we wrap up,
yes,
let's talk about this work-life balance, because you've talked about your store now is your office. I can see there's a lot going on in the background. I'm sure the kids are somewhere running around. How is that? How is it working for you? As you wrap up, and also please, Kevin, tell us also how we can reach you as you respond to that.
The reality is, Kenji, that right now, because of COVID, it has made us realize so many things. We run a consultancy business. We rarely have clients coming to our office. We are the ones who actually visit our clients. So one of the things that we did as a business was saying, okay, let's come up with a modus operandi of working at home as a team. So one of the things that we did was we became a bit innovative in how we communicate fast as a team. So we came up with, we subscribed to a tool that helps us organize our work, to track deliverables, and to work as a team together. Secondly, we needed also to inform our clients that this is a new way that we work right now. And one of them is that we'll have our meetings on Zoom or on this technology, and there's certain limitations. But the thing is, this technology is the same one as the one if I meet you face to face. So in the aim of employing our empathy hub, we also need to be very empathetic to our workers, and knowing that by sending them to the market, we're also exposing them from contracting COVID. So we must be able to develop and redefine how we work and be innovative. One of the things that we have also done is to understand you're in a home. You're not in an office block. So in a home, you also need to be sensitive. We're in different homes. We live in different areas of this town. We also have different backdrops if you want to see it. So I have chosen this space because I'm able to concentrate more. I'm able to find a quiet place where you can work, where I can be able to speak to my other people, because it is also respectful for you who's made time to come so that we work together using this technology, not for me to be distracted, to waste your time, but for us to be able to use the limited time to be able to channel out work. And so one of the things that I will encourage us, even for as entrepreneurs, this time is to not fear innovation, not fear applying new things, and then communicating and enlightening your customers about the new way you're working, and also respecting the boundaries. Because, for instance, a client might know Kevin is at home all along, he's not traveling much. So at 6 a.m., they might actually call you and ask you, please do this for me, do this artwork for us. Or at 9 p.m., they'll say, I've just thought of an idea, I don't want it to run away, so they call you at that time. So we still have to respect that we are working from home, but the home has its own limitations. It's the same place where we find rest, where we log off from work, and we integrate family, work, and our me time as well. It's important for an entrepreneur to have alone time, to be able to think, to slow down, to whether it's praying or meditating or exercising, whatever you want to do, and then balance that time with your family and balance that time with your colleagues and customers. So we must integrate and live an integrated life in this digital world.
Wow. Tony, I've been to your house.
Yeah.
and I've been with your kids, and they're sometimes very disciplined. They're either reading, doing something. How do you coordinate your work-life balance? Is it a myth? Is it something you can actually achieve?
Okay. There's some articles I've been getting online concerning how to balance work and life, especially in this confined space and these confining situations of COVID. One of the things that, like what Kevin has done, designate a place. What we did was designated a place. This is what we will call office. And since this is office, when I'm coming to this office, then I do like the way I used to do before. I take a shower, brush my teeth, dress appropriately for office like I'm dressed today, then enter into that space, sit and focus. Then another thing that helps in work-life balance is take frequent breaks. Stand up. This is something I normally tell my partner, my wife. Stand up, stretch a bit, let blood circulate because you're sitting for so long in one spot. And then when it reaches a time, like in a typical office setting, you'll find, even for us who are entrepreneurs who work for long hours, there will be a time when you'll decide, you know what, it's time to go home. It's 7 p.m., it's 6 p.m., 5 p.m., whichever time. And you shut down your machines, switch off your printers, whatever, switch off kila kitu, leave and go. Same thing. We also practice that. It reaches a certain point, we stop, no more emails, no more receiving ABCD, switch off the computer, get out of the space that is designated as home office, and now go and interact with the children. Thirdly, as you said, sometimes when you have, you and your children are sharing the same space, some are doing homeschooling, others are not. When you train your children that daddy and mommy right now, they're in the office, they need to be working, they need to respect that space. Children normally learn, they know this is it, daddy and mommy are working. Similarly, here in class, we also respect that space. We don't come barging in like, they're at home. No, they're in school. They have their desk, they have their chair, they have their pencils, everything. When you want to talk to them, you ask for their permission. That way, both you and they will understand that in spite of the fact that we are sharing the same space, the purposes for which we are sharing have shifted from home to either school or to office. And therefore, you create certain boundaries. Then you also work with timelines so that it's now lunchtime. Let's go for lunch. Let's bite something. It's now evening. Put off your computers. Put off your book. Forget about work. Let's go and relax. That way, you're able to create a work-life balance that enables you to be effective while working, but also enables you to lean back and rest when you're finished working.
Wow, that's awesome, and that needs a lot of self-discipline.
Yes.
Because at the same time, it has to project from the head. If the head is able to model this, then
Yes.
everyone else is going to just pick and adopt it. Yeah. So as we wind up, we've had so many viewers. Thank you for everyone who's joined us on Facebook. We're glad you've taken time to join us. We'll be having part 3 next week, same time.
Yeah.
And right now, I just want us to wrap it up with just famous last words. Just to put you on the spot, Kevin, Mr. Wisdom, you can drop your last gems. I also am going to run your social media handles at the bottom, just in case someone wants to catch a hold of you. So Kev.
Thank you. I'll just finish by saying that it's good for us to always apply what you call the 3 E sisters. in our business. We need to encourage people. We are in business to solve problems, and we need to encourage them and tell them, oh yes, we have the solutions and we're able to solve your problem. So encourage them and tell them, yes, I will be able to be the person who will solve your problem in this as an entrepreneur. The other one is enlighten them, educate them, and also position yourself as an expert, as a trainee, as a professional in the area of your expertise, in the area of your offering. And then the third little sister is engage them. Once you've enlightened them, you start engaging them and ask them, how can I be able to help you? How can our company be able to offer services? So in other words, asking for the business without feeling like that you're touching on very difficult grounds this season. So once you do those three things, encouraging, enlightening, and then engaging your customers, we pray and believe that you'll be able to start your journey towards profitability in a season of crisis. Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin. Anthony.
Yes. My last words are for those who are in business. I've seen somebody asking, what do you say to someone who has just left formal employment? That means for those who are in business, those who are searching for jobs, those who are employed, and all that. You all, first and foremost, you've got to put your hope forward. You've got to be hopeful. You've got to have a positive view of life. Yeah. COVID, as much as it has really cemented our economy as a nation and as individuals, has also created opportunities. For somebody who has left formal employment, yes, are you seeking to re-enter formal employment? Are you seeking to start a business? Do you have capital for that business? What exactly do you want? So if you're looking to re-enter to get another job, for example, you all you need to do, I believe, is relook at your CV, look at what you want to do. Does your CV enable you to go into that direction? Because, one of the things we learn as HR consultants is, as much as there is serious unemployment in the country, it's very interesting that on the other hand, employers are seeking people to hire and they are not finding them. They're struggling to fill certain positions because either people come with a bad attitude or come with unrealistic expectations, or they are not well qualified. So I would say be realistic, be hopeful, always look forward to the more positive part in life. Even for us businessmen, we are caught in a very difficult environment, but opportunities are there. As Kevin has been speaking about innovation, be innovative as an individual and as a company, and opportunities will come and you'll be able to seize them.
Awesome. At least you've doubled up your parting shot with answering that question. Thank you, Anthony. And this has just been very insightful. Thank you, gents, once again. We'll be having the same next week, as I said. And also just to remind guys, don't journey alone. Don't journey alone. Look for people who you share the similar mindset and values, and work together. It's always enjoyable when you work with others. Even when you get lost with your friends, it's much better than going far only to find that you're alone in this. So guys, see you next week.
Yes.
Take care.
Take care. Thank
you.
you.
All right, bye.
Thank you. Good.